evening and welcome to Trending Tonight. I'm Sanket Upadhyay. Let's quickly take a look at those two stories that we are going to track right here. First up, we are going to look at the vaccination reality. What exactly is the reality? We have some hard facts, some numbers that kind of explain that things are not as good as we think they are. In fact, they are certainly not good. And if course correction is not done, it will only create trouble in the future. We have to increase our strike rate, as they say in cricket, for things to move forward fast and help us in the future. Also on the show, we'll get you a comprehensive report of the impact of Cyclone Yas. What impact has it had on the coastal areas in the eastern part of this country? But first, let's quickly look at India's vaccine strategy, how the vaccine strategy went wrong. Let's take a look at this one by one. So in January, there was a plan to vaccinate 30 crore people by July. That was the plan. 30 crore people will be vaccinated by July. Then in January, the government said that vaccinations have been planned only for the frontline and the elderly. In April 2021, vaccines, Covaxin and Covishield, these were the only two vaccines. Till April 2021, only two vaccine manufacturers were there: the Serum Institute of India and Bharat Biotech. Till April 2021, there was limited vaccine orders that were placed. No vaccine stockpiles had been created, right? So do you see where we have faltered? We could have expedited this process. On the 1st of May 2021, the centre allowed states to source vaccines. Then on the 1st of May 2021, again, vaccinations for 18 plus were also allowed. In this month of May, most states have reported vaccine shortages because the states are unable to organize more vaccine supplies from the global market, because the whole concept of a global tender has been a big, giant flop. Let's now quickly take a look at the top 5 states as far as vaccination is concerned. When you factor in the percentage of population of those states. So as far as India is concerned, we've only fulfilled about 4% of the population getting inoculated. This is the total percentage of the population fully vaccinated. Fully, that means both doses. Gujarat is at 6.10%, Kerala at 6%, Uttarakhand at 6%, Delhi at 5.8%, Andhra Pradesh at 4.30%. That's the vaccination rate, the best in these top 5 states. Now for the sad story, the lowest 5 states as far as inoculation is concerned on the basis of the percentage of the population fully vaccinated: Assam at 2%, Madhya Pradesh at 2%, Jharkhand at 2%. And for the bottom two, let's go full frame to that graphic. The state of Uttar Pradesh and the state of Bihar have inoculated fully. Only 1%, the most populous states of this country, only 1% of their population has been fully vaccinated. This is the vaccine truth as of this moment in this country. Now, there's a fair bit of double speak also as far as vaccines are concerned. Centre's liberal vaccine policy, could that be a false alarm or a false promise? On the 21st of April, the centre announced a new liberal vaccine policy where the centre said that the states can buy 50% stock directly from vaccine makers domestically. For the 18 to 45 category, on the 24th of May, the centre apparently did a U-turn, informing the court that it is fixing quotas for how much states can buy directly. On the 17th of May, centre's letters to Delhi were perhaps uncovering this truth of a liberal scheme. How can you at one point say that we've opened this up from within the 50%, you can go and procure directly, and then you're also fixing the doses? So obviously, we've faltered somewhere as far as our vaccination policy is concerned. Dr. Shashank Joshi is the member of the COVID-19 task force in Maharashtra, and we also have Dr. Lokesh Tiwari, additional professor of pediatrics and deputy medical superintendent at AIIMS Patna. We'll also have Dr. Vipin Puri is the Vice Chancellor of the King George Medical University, or the KGMU, joining us in just a short moment. Dr. Joshi, I want to begin with you first. This vaccination policy, obviously it has had a rethink, change since January also. How fast do you think we need to course correct to be able to inoculate fast, to be able to avoid a third wave?
We need to inoculate ASAP and do the course correction ASAP. Unfortunately, we are into a supply issue and we need to get that first dose quick and fast. So I hope and pray that by the first and second week of June, the so-called stock exigency and the supply issues will be all mitigated. Already the central government has gone on record to say that they are supplying in the next 15 days all the stocks the various states need. I hope that commitment is fulfilled. And I hope that the states are able to procure, as well as the private players are able to procure vaccinations latest by second week of June. Because if we do not exponentially ramp up our vaccination drive, then we are headed for trouble.
Yes, Dr. Joshi, as far as the vaccination availability is concerned, now I don't think hesitancy is the worry. Of course, it is in rural pockets, but first for that to remove hesitancy, it has to be available. When it is available, what, according to you, in a state like Maharashtra, will have to be the pace of vaccination to say, be able to vaccinate everyone by the end of this year? Is it even achievable?
So we will have to do it 24/7, and we will have to do it as soon as the supplies are available, as early as possible in 2 to 3 months. I think that is the need of the emergency and the pandemic. At least get the first dose done to the eligible population as early as possible. And I am not giving a window till the end of the year. It has to be done in the next 2 to 3 months.
Okay.
Because remember, we are staring at a third wave already. And I don't think we can afford to delay this and protract this. I personally feel that between mid-June to mid-July, there will be a complete course correction and the supply-demand ratio will be fully mitigated. And at that time, of course, monsoons will be at the peak in Maharashtra, but we'll have to vaccinate 24/7 to the eligible population. And we'll need an exponential ramping up and innovative strategies to ensure that the vaccination till the last
I'm only assuming, Dr. Joshi, that we should start working on this strategy right away. So is there a center-state coordination on how this will be done? How many people will you inoculate in your state? Is there some plan?
So, we are all helpless because we have to depend on a third-party manufacturer and our governmental state and center coordination. So currently, if you ask me, there is no clarity on the supply situation from the vaccine standpoint. There are only assurances from the central government that 2 billion doses will be given by the end of the year. And let us hope that these assurances will be translated into reality.
Correct.
And that is the big worry we have. And we are all very nervous and tense about the same. If you ask me very upfront, we should not lose the battle after, containing the second wave, just because we are not able to saturate the vulnerable population with vaccination.
Correct. Dr. Tiwari is also with us. Dr. Tiwari, now as far as Bihar is concerned, I'm just looking at this tally and we'll put that on screen also, of the lowest 5 big states as far as the percentage of the population inoculated. And when we look at these figures, it is Uttar Pradesh and Bihar which is at the bottom of the charts. Just 1% of the population has been fully vaccinated. Do you see this as the big challenge in a state as populous as Uttar Pradesh or as Bihar? And when we look at these figures, it is Uttar Pradesh and Bihar which is at the bottom of the charts. Just 1% of the population has been fully vaccinated. Do you see this as the big challenge in a state as populous as Uttar Pradesh or as... Okay, we'll try fixing that audio connection. There's a terrible lag on Dr. Tiwari. We'll fix that and we'll quickly come back to you. Dr. Puri is also, I believe, with us. Dr. Puri, would you like to take that question? Because, this problem continues even in Uttar Pradesh. 1% of the population of the biggest state in terms of population in this country.
Yes, I definitely do agree with what you are saying. But then remember, we face different challenges in Uttar Pradesh besides being, of course, the largest state. The commonality, the common denominator, of course, is the paucity of vaccine. But you see here, there is another issue of disinformation, misinformation, vaccine hesitancy that you're talking about. And I think those are also added issues which compound the problems, at least in rural Uttar Pradesh. And I think that's something which one has to keep in mind, that as we go along, I sincerely believe that, yes, we desperately require to ramp up our vaccination drive. We require the procurement agencies required to be on full throttle. And having said that, the delivery mechanism, the awareness at the peripheral level, I sincerely believe also requires to be given the impetus that it deserves. And I think I have to say this, that the UP government is putting in a huge effort in this direction by involving the people at the district level, at the sub-district level. I'm also told that, people like the panchayats, the Anganwadis, the ASHA workers have all been invoked as far as training of the process is concerned. There's a huge endeavor which is going on to do capacity building as far as the delivery mechanism is concerned. But I think what is going to be the critical factor is to procurement of the vaccine and ensure in good time.
No, I'm only saying, Dr. Puri, assuming that the timelines that the central government says, they say that we'll have about 216 crore vaccines by the end of this year, and they will start coming in. Things will get better July onwards. Assuming that this happens and the vaccine is available, availability matter is solved. In a state like Uttar Pradesh, how do you ensure that there are proper systems to vaccinate a large number of people every day? And also, the big concern now that we'll have more vaccines available, that there should be no mixing of vaccines. You look at what happened in UP today, where one dose was Covishield, the other was Covaxin. I mean, this is disastrous.
I appreciate what you're saying. And I think, as I mentioned to you, that not only the availability of vaccine, but the delivery system has to be orchestrated and implemented in a very organized way. What machinery we use, it has to be well planned, well orchestrated, and well delivered. So at the most peripheral level, I think we require to reach out. And as I mentioned to you, as we talk today, 23 districts of Uttar Pradesh the process has started. And I'm told from 1st of June, the UP government plans to move out to all 75 districts, and I think that's going to be a huge endeavor. The process has started. The delivery has to be implemented. Whether we actually are able to connect the dots is really the big question.
Correct. I'm going to come back to you on the question of mixing of doses, because, the reason why I put a lot of stress on that, Dr. Tiwari, the reason why I put a lot of stress is because you don't have to just reduce vaccine hesitancy. You also have to educate the people who will be administering these vaccines in the back and beyond of this country, particularly in rural Bihar or rural Uttar Pradesh. Dr. Tiwari, do you think mixing of the vaccines is a huge challenge? Look at the number of vaccines we are going to have come August. The different types of vaccines.
Yeah, at present there are two types of vaccines, and if we do not keep track of which center was giving which vaccine, which particular type of vaccine, then the chances of mixing are there. So at central level, central means when state is planning that which type of vaccine, Covishield was given at that particular center or Covaxin was given at that particular center, we need to maintain that throughout our chain. If there is any discrepancy in that, then chances of mixing are there, and it can be prevented primarily by ensuring that supply of both the vaccines remains the same, continuously supply is there. So if Covaxin is not available for certain period of time, then there is no point of supplying Covishield to those centers. So I'm sure all these steps are being taken centrally, but at the same time, at individual level, when we are administering vaccine, it is important that we ensure and we train our healthcare workers to double check that there is no mixing of that.
Dr. Tiwari, how important do you think is a national strategy a day-to-day meeting, some sort of a command center or a control room at the center in states for constant monitoring. See, Dr. Joshi mentioned a very important thing. You can't wait for months or even the end of this year. You've got to inoculate people within months, within a few months, 2 to 3 months. Now, would you or would you not agree that in UP and Bihar particularly, this is going to be the biggest challenge? Rural areas.
Yeah, because of non-availability of infrastructure, we never had such type of disaster ever. So basically there is no trained staff for that. There is no trained infrastructure available for these things. So everything is being invented now. And you know that inventing and then experimenting on that, likely chances are there that some failures will happen. So it is very important what you told, that central level, central means at state level, central machinery should be there that monitors it constantly. Those control rooms are well equipped and well manned by trained people. So that is very important.
Yes, Dr. Joshi, I want to come to you now. See, obviously our rate of vaccination is incredibly low and it's only going down painfully. I don't know why. One reason is availability and the other is distribution, effective distribution. But Dr. Joshi, how fast, for instance, if we were to compare this to a cricket analogy, how much does our strike rate need to be, for instance, nationally? 1 crore doses a day? And most importantly, do we have that sort of a system in place to be able to administer so many doses?
Oh, let me be very transparent. We can't compare cricket with vaccination. But we have ability and capability of vaccinating 1 crore a day also, because you know that we have been the vaccinator of the world, whether it is smallpox or polio. So I'm not at all worried about the infrastructure and ability and capability of all states to vaccinate the population at large. Currently, it is a supply bottleneck, and that supply bottleneck is likely to be cleared between mid-June to mid-July. And after that, there will be surplus, and we will have to do 24/7 vaccination to vaccinate and saturate our population within the next couple of months. That will have to be done on a war footing. And I think the preparations are on. Secondly, the COVID app does not allow mixing and matching. So if it is aptly, appropriately, correctly done, it's a very well-defined app, if you ask me. And now with all the breathing, the teething problems gone, it should be okay. The only challenge is between 18 to 44, people find it difficult to get their slots. So that's like the fastest finger first. So there might need to be a lot of small changes, because this is a live system. So we have to be more adaptable, more flexible, and we need to ensure that now we need to meet our targets early. But I'm very confident that we have both the ability and capability to do it. We have done it in the past for smallpox. We have done it in the past for polio. That time the targets appeared impossible and still we were able to do it. But we didn't have the emergency of a pandemic then. Today we have it. But today we have the will and the infrastructure and the people which are personnel which are trained to do it.
Well said.
I think the only challenge currently is the supply.
Availability, correct. So as long as availability is, those challenges are met, things will be in better shape, and then we just have to inoculate. Now, whether the rate of inoculation can be fast-tracked, that is going to be the big challenge. The preparation for that has to begin now. Dr. Joshi, Dr. Tiwari, as well as Dr. Puri, thank you very much for joining us on this discussion. All right, story number 2, the cyclone, the deadly cyclone Yas crossed the state of Bengal. It caused some amount of devastation, but the NDRF feels that the assessment is being done right now on how much has the damage been. They feel that the damage is going to be minimal, particularly in terms of lives lost. But its impact could be felt in areas like Bhadrak, Digha, Bhubaneswar, South 24 Paraganas, and different areas as well, East Midnapur. Let's take a look at this report of what happened.
It was nothing like the super cyclone of 1999, nor did it pack the punch of Amphan last May. But Cyclone Yas has hurt, pounding coastal Odisha and Bengal for 3 whole hours, leaving a trail of destruction, claiming 1 life each in both states.
দুর্ভাগ্যবশত একজন মারা গেছেন, সেটাও অ্যাক্সিডেন্টাল ডেথ। সে রিলিফ ক্যাম্পে উঠে এসেছিল, তারপরে মাছে জাল ফেলতে গেছিল। এটা জাল ফেলতে গিয়ে মাছে শুনলাম সে ডুবে গেছে।
Balasore, the landfall site, bore the brunt of deadly winds gusting at 155 kilometers per hour, extremely heavy rain, and the sea surge at Bhadrak, Jagatsinghpur, Kendrapada as well. It was the sea surge that also devastated low-lying Bengal. In Digha, East Midnapur, Fraserganj, South 24 Parganas and Hingalganj in the north. There, waters swollen by a lunar high tide swept into hundreds of villages, smashing river embankments, impacting 1 crore people, Mamata Banerjee has said, and the saline water destroying acres of farmland.
Right now situation is quite grim because we are in New Digha, and last year also during the Amphan we were stationed here only, but we didn't see, there was no water, sea water which overflown to this part, and this water level is now increasing.
Kolkata is heaving a collective sigh of relief. Memories of Cyclone Amphan are still very fresh in the minds of the city. Last time, I remember many roads blocked for days because of fallen trees, telephones out of order, and no electricity for days on end. The weather forecast was spot on the cyclone's path, its wind speeds, surge and time frame. But there are growing concerns about the increasing frequency of cyclones forming in the Bay of Bengal.
यस, अभी धीरे धीरे वीक हो रहा है। अभी अगले 2 घंटे के अंदर ये वीक होकर एक साइक्लोनिक स्टॉर्म में परिणत हो जाएगा, और इसके बाद आज मध्य रात्र को ये उत्तर उत्तर पश्चिमी दिशा में जाते हुए एक डीप डिप्रेशन में परिणत होगा, और कल सुबह झारखंड के ऊपर ये एक डिप्रेशन में परिणत हो जाएगा।
Cyclone Yas will bring heavy rains to Jharkhand this evening and Thursday, subsequently Bihar. But Yas, named so by Oman and ominously means despair, will have lost its muscle by then. With Manish Kumar in Digha and Saurav Gupta in Kolkata, Monidika Banerjee, NDTV.